Flower Adornment Sutra, Chapter 14, Praises at the Summit of Mount Sumeru. At that time, due to the Buddha's spiritual power, in each of the 10 directions, a great bodhisattva, accompanied by bodhisattvas as numerous as the dust motes in a Buddha land, traveling from worlds beyond countries, as numerous as the dust motes in 100 Buddha lands, came and joined the assembly. Their names were Dhamma Wisdom Bodhisattva, All Wisdom Bodhisattva, Superior Wisdom Bodhisattva, Meritorious Wisdom Bodhisattva, Vigorous Wisdom Bodhisattva, Wholesome Wisdom Bodhisattva, Knowledgeable Wisdom Bodhisattva, True Wisdom Bodhisattva, Unsurpassed Wisdom Bodhisattva, and Solid Wisdom Bodhisattva. They came from the Indra flower world, the Padma flower world, the jeweled flower world, the Utpala flower world, the Vajra flower world, the wondrous fragrance flower world, the delightful flower world, the Aruna Kamala flower world, the Narrated flower world, and the empty space flower world. Each of them had purely cultivated the Brahma conduct in the presence of a Buddha. The names of the Buddhas were Extraordinary Moon Buddha, Inexhaustible Moon Buddha, Unmoving Moon Buddha, Wind Moon Buddha, Water Moon Buddha, Liberation Moon Buddha, Unsurpassed Moon Buddha, Constellation Moon Buddha, Pure Moon Buddha, and Bright Understanding Moon Buddha. Arriving at the Buddha's place, these bodhisattvas bowed at the Buddha's feet, each one in the direction from which he came, created a Vairochana treasury, lion throne, and sat upon it in full lotus. Just as the bodhisattvas assembled on the summit of Mount Sumeru in this world, it was the same way in all worlds. The names of the bodhisattvas, their worlds, and the Buddhas were all the same. At that time, the world on it one emitted 1,000,000,000 splendidly colored lights from his toes, illumining all the worlds in the 10 directions, so that the Buddhas and the assemblies in the palaces of Lord Chakra on the Mount Sumerus could all be seen. Then Dharma Wisdom Bodhisattva, relying on the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the 10 directions and spoke in verse. As the Buddha radiates pure, clear light, the teacher of the world is seen by all, dwelling in wondrous splendid palace on the peak of Sumeru, the king of mountains. All the celestial Lord Chakras invite the Buddha into their palaces. They all use 10 wonderful verses to praise the dust come ones. In those great assemblies, all the multitudes of bodhisattvas, arriving from the 10 directions, created thrones and sat upon them. All the bodhisattvas in those assemblies have the same name as I. The worlds from which they came are also of the same name. The world on it ones of their lands have the same name as well. In the presence of their Buddhas, they cultivated unsurpassed pure conduct. Disciples of the Buddha, you should contemplate the sovereign power of the dust come ones. Those in every Jambudvipa say that the Buddha is among them. All of us now see the Buddha dwelling on the summit of Sumeru. Throughout the 10 directions, it is also thus, due to the sovereign power of the dust come ones. In each and every world, they resolve to seek the Buddha path. Relying upon vows such as these, they cultivate the conduct of Bodhi. The Buddha takes on various bodies, and travels pervasively to all worlds. Nothing in the Dharma realm could hinder him. He cannot be fathomed by anyone. His wisdom light constantly shines everywhere. It dispels darkness in all worlds. Unequaled is he without peer. How could anyone know him? Then all wisdom, bodhisattva, relying on the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the 10 directions and spoke in verse. Suppose for hundreds of thousands of aeons, one always sees the Thus Come One, but does not rely upon the genuine truth in contemplating the world's Savior. Such a person grubs at appearances and expands the net of ignorance and delusion. Trapped and bound in the jail of birth and death, blind and unclear, he cannot see the Buddha. Contemplate all dharmas as being devoid of an inherent nature. The same is true of their arising and cessation. False names are merely used to describe them. All dharmas do not come into being. All dharmas do not cease to exist. If one can understand in this way, then the Buddhas always appear before one. Dharmas are basically empty and still in nature. They cannot be grasped or seen. The emptiness of the nature is just the Buddha. It cannot be thought about or considered. If one knows that all dharmas are like this in their nature, such a person will not be defiled by afflictions. When ordinary people see all dharmas, they are merely turned by appearances, never fathoming that dharmas are devoid of appearances. They do not see the Buddha. Muni has transcended the 3 periods of time, with the hallmarks fully perfected. He dwells in non-dwelling and pervades all places without moving. I have contemplated all dharmas and am clear about them all. As I now behold the Thus Come One, I have absolutely no doubts. Dharma wisdom has already spoken of the Thus Come One's true nature. From him I have understood how inconceivable Bodhi is. Then superior wisdom bodhisattva, relying on the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the 10 directions and spoke in verse. The Thus Come One's great wisdom is rare and peerless. All the beings in the world may reflect on it, yet fail to reach it. Ordinary beings perceive things through false thoughts, grasp at marks and fail to accord with principle. The Buddha renounces every mark, yet ordinary beings fail to understand this. Confused, deluded fools grasp in vain at the 5 skandhas. They fail to understand the true nature. Such people do not see the Buddha. One should know all dharmas lack any intrinsic nature whatsoever. One who understands the nature of dharmas thus shall immediately behold Nishanda. By virtue of 5 skandhas come before, successive skandhas follow and arise. One who understands their nature sees the Buddha's inconceivability. Just as a jewel in the dark cannot be seen without a lamp, if no one speaks the Buddha Dharma, none perceives the wisdom that exists. Or as a flume that blinds the eyes, keeps unseen the pure, wondrous form, so too a mind that is unclear cannot discern the Dharma of all Buddhas. Just as those who are blind cannot see the bright, pure sun, so too the ones bereft of wisdom in their minds will never see the Buddhas. If one dispels the flume upon the eyes, and casts off form and thinking, and sees no dharma whatsoever, then one may see the thus come one. All wisdom was first to speak about all Buddha's dharma of enlightenment. From him I heard the teaching and gained the chance to see Nishanda. Then meritorious wisdom, Bodhisattva, relying on the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the 10 directions and spoke in verse. Dharmas have no true reality, but we mistakenly attach to marks as real, and thus all ordinary people spin about within the jail of birth and death. Those of petty wisdom differentiate in vain. The Dharma that's expressed in words, they thus become obstructed, and do not understand their minds. They fail to understand their minds. How can they know the proper path? It's from such muddled wisdom that unwholesome views proliferate. Since they fail to see the emptiness of dharmas, they always feel the pain of birth and death. Such people are not yet able to use the pure and clear Dharma eye. In ages past, I suffered much woe because I didn't see the Buddha, so I must purify the Dharma eye to view what I should view. If a person sees the Buddha with a mind that does not grasp, this person then can see the Dharma that the Buddha knows. One who sees the Buddha's actual Dharma is named one of great wisdom. Such a person has pure eye and is able to observe the world. Not seeing anything is just seeing, being able to discern all dharmas. Yet if one sees any dharma, then that is not true seeing. The underlying nature of all dharmas neither comes to be nor cease to exist. Amazing is the lofty guiding teacher who enlightens both himself and others. Superior wisdom has already spoken of the Dharma awakened to by the thus come one. Now that we have heard from him, we understand the Buddha's true nature. Then vigorous wisdom, Bodhisattva, relying on the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the 10 directions and spoke in verse. To dwell upon discriminating thoughts is detrimental to our pure, clear eye. Delusions grow, wrong views increase, and one will never see the Buddhas. If we can recognize wrong dharmas, we will not be confused regarding the truth. Aware that falseness comes from truth, we see the Buddhas pure and clear. Ordinary seeing is defiled, for it is not truly seeing. Standing apart from any view, one can then perceive the Buddhas. All the languages of the world are falsely discriminated by sentient beings. If one knows that nothing in the world comes into being, then one sees the world the way it really is. If one sees the world through that faculty of sight, then one perceives that its attributes are mundane. Yet those attributes are not different from true reality. This is known as having genuine faculty of sight. If one views all objects as identical, undifferentiated, and does not make discriminations among them, then one's vision is free from delusion, and without outflows one attains self-mastery. Of all the differentiated dharmas revealed and taught by all the Buddhas, none can be attained, for in their nature they are pure. The Dharma's nature is fundamentally clear and pure, devoid of attributes just like the void. None of it can be expressed in words. Thus do the wise ones contemplate. If one avoids the thought of dharmas and does not delight in any dharma, and has nothing left to cultivate, one can then behold great Muni. As meritorious wisdom said before, this defines one who sees the Buddhas. Each and every practice is, in nature, tranquil and quiescent. Then good wisdom Bodhisattva, relying on the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the 10 directions and spoke in verse. Rare is the great valor and vigor of the numberless thus come ones, immaculate with liberated minds, who save themselves, save others. I see the Lamb of all the world, the embodiment of true reality without confusion. Through countless aeons, he is thus. Cultivators of wisdom share this vision. Of all the deeds of ordinary beings, none are not ephemeral. Yet since their nature is like empty space, one could say their nature has no end. The wise ones speak of it as endless, yet nothing can be said in fact, because the inherent nature has no end. To imagine such a state is difficult. Within this so-called endlessness, there are no sentient beings. One who understands all beings' nature thus can gaze upon the one of great renown. Though there is no seeing, we speak of seeing. Though there is no beings, we speak of beings. Whether it is seeing or whether it is beings, one knows they lack reality and substance. The faculty of seeing and the object that is seen. When one dispenses with these concepts, the true Dharma is left intact, unharmed. Such a person understands the Buddha. If a person understands the Buddha and the Dharma that the Buddhists speak, that person can illuminate the world, just as the Shanda Buddha does. The one of proper enlightenment explains well the path of purity to the one Dharma. The great Lord Vigorous Wisdom has expounded countless Dharmas. Existence, non-existence, all such thoughts are cast aside. One thus can see the Buddha and dwell in reality's realm. Then knowledgeable wisdom Bodhisattva, relying on the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the 10 directions and spoke in verse. Having heard the excellent teaching, I thus gave rise to wisdom's light. It shines throughout the 10 directions realms, making visible each and every Buddha. Not the slightest thing exists, they are only false names. To postulate a self and others is to enter a dangerous path. Ordinary people, with their clinging attachments, assume that the body is real. The thus come one does not cling to anything, hence they never see him. Such people lack the wisdom eye. They cannot behold the Buddha. Throughout the course of countless aeons, they drift upon the sea of birth and death. Contention is said to be birth and death, while non-contention is nirvana. Neither birth and death nor nirvana can actually be apprehended. A person who pursues false names and clings to these 2 dharmas do not understand absolute reality, nor does he know the wondrous path of sages. A person who harbors the notion this Buddha is most excellent, is deluded, knows not the truth, and cannot see the one of proper enlightenment. One who understands the essence of reality, the still quiescence of true suchness, thus sees the honored one of proper enlightenment and transcends the realm of language. All the Dharma that is verbally expressed cannot reveal the true reality. Only with equanimity can one see it. The Dharma is thus, and likewise the Buddhas. The ones of proper enlightenment of the past, present, and future. eternally sever discrimination's root. Thus they are known as Buddhas. Then true wisdom, Bodhisattva, relying on the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the 10 directions and spoke in verse. I would rather suffer in the hells and get to hear the Buddha's names than enjoy boundless happiness and not hear the Buddha's names. For countless aeons in the past, I suffered misery and woe, and drifted aimlessly in birth and death, due to not having heard the Buddha's names. Undeluded by dharmas, one realizes absolute reality. To separate from all compounded phenomena is called unsurpassed enlightenment, not compounded in the present, nor in the past or future. All dharmas are devoid of characteristics. Such is the true substance of the Buddha. If in this way one contemplates the meaning of all dharmas so deep, profound, then one can see all Buddhas and the true appearance of the Dharma body. Seeing what is true as true, seeing what is not true as not true. Such ultimate understanding is the reason for the name of Buddha. The Buddha Dharma cannot be realized. Understanding this is called realizing the Dharma. All Buddhas cultivate in this way. Not a single Dharma exists. Know that the one brings about the many, and the many brings about the one. Dharmas are not based upon anything, but arise from a combination of factors. There is no creator or creation. Things arise from thought and karma. How do we know this to be true? There is no other explanation. All dharmas dwell nowhere and have no fixed location. The Buddhas dwell within this state, ultimately standfast and unmoving. Then unsurpassed wisdom, Bodhisattva, relying on the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the 10 directions and spoke in verse. Unsurpassed Mahasattva is far removed from sentient beings' thoughts. There are none who excel him. Hence, he is titled unsurpassed. The state attained by all Buddhas is gained without effort or discrimination. The cause aspects do not exist, and neither do the subtle. The states of the Buddha's practice transcend the realm of fate. Proper enlightenment is apart from fate. This is the Buddha's genuine Dharma. The dusk come one's light illumines all, dispelling gloom and darkness. Yet this light neither shines nor does not shine. Toward the Dharma be it unattached, free of thought and undefiled, dwelling nowhere, having no location, the Dharma nature is unimpeded. In all that is, there is no duality, nor is there a single thing. The greatly wise of keen discernment abide at ease within this truth. Within non-existence there is no duality, nor is there the absence of duality. The 3 realms are entirely empty. This is the Buddha's understanding. Ordinary people, confused and unenlightened, by the Buddha's guidance come to dwell in the proper Dharma. Yet the Dharma itself dwells nowhere. One who thus awakens thereby sees oneself. There is no body, yet a body is spoken of. There is no arising, yet a rising is manifested. The absence of a body and of seeing is the Buddha's unsurpassed body. True wisdom has described the Buddha's wonderful Dharma nature. One who hears this Dharma will attain the pure, clear eye. Then solid wisdom, Bodhisattva, relying on the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, universally contemplated the 10 directions and spoke in verse. How magnificent is the radiance of the valiant unsurpassed Lord! In order to benefit the deluded masses, he appears in the world. The Buddha, with a heart of great compassion, universally observes all sentient beings. He sees them in the triple realm, suffering in samsara's wheel. The sage of proper, equal enlightenment alone is perfect in virtue, a venerated guide and teacher. None of the beings in all the heavens can be a savior and protector like him. If sages like the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas did not appear within the world, not a single sentient being would gain happiness and peace. The thus come ones of proper equal enlightenment, and the multitudes of worthy sages show themselves within the world, giving happiness to sentient beings. If one wishes to behold the thus come ones, in order to gain wondrous benefit, and one hears the Buddha's names and evinces faith, one will be a tower for the world. We wish to see the world on it once, so as to gain great benefit. Those who hear this wonderful Dharma shall all attain the Buddha path. In the past, all these bodhisattvas, by the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, attained the pure, clear wisdom eye and understood the Buddha's state. Now we see Nishanda, and our pure faith has redoubled. The Buddha's boundless wisdom can never be completely expressed. Superior wisdom and the other bodhisattvas, and I, solid wisdom, through countless millions of aeons, could never fully express it either.